Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News TV. Today we're going to discuss the Kashmir File outburst and going to exclusively talk Dr. Viny Kantroo. He's eminent doctor and social activist from Jammu Kashmir and just we can say just a survivor of that all episode. I not say the good or bad, but whatever happened in the past, not good, not properly good. Just a little brief, just give introduction about Dr. Viny Kantroo, the consultant respiratory critical care and sleep medicine at Indraprasth Apollo Hospital, New Delhi, member of Royal College of Physicians, MRCP, London, Diplomatic National Board, DNB, Respiratory Diseases, Indian Diploma in Central Care Medicine, IDCCM, ISCCM, European Diploma in Adult Respiratory Medicine, EDARM, Fellowship from King's College Hospital, NHS Foundation Trust, Life Member Indian Chest Society, European Respiratory Society, Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine, European Society of Critical Care Medicine. Gold medal in the MBBS, faculty for the DNB Pulmonology and Critical Care, Apollo New Delhi, papers in national and international journals, multiple chapters in books, including comprehensive textbook on COVID-19, Salisbury's publishers, principal investigator, co-investigator in various multi-center, multinational trials, including Sputnik V, 2D, FDG, BCG trial, group study, and real interest in critical care, interest in pulmonology, interstitial lung disease, rehab in the COVID-19. As you know, she has done a lot for just to fight with COVID with the all patients and the society as a social activist. Welcome, Dr. Viny Kantroo. Just how just you watch the movie Kashmir Files of Vivek Rajendra and Motri, and after see what your reaction.
Thank you, Rakesh ji, for calling me on this podium. I am really lucky to come here and share my views regarding the movie, which is the Kashmir Files. Well, I did watch Kashmir Files, and that too after a gap of almost 3 years because of the pandemic. We didn't used to go to the theater, but definitely I went to a theater and watched this movie. Although I did not go at once when the movie was released because I was apprehensive of going to the theater and kind of getting very emotional in the theater. I thought that I would not be able to bear it because it is actually the naked truth which has been shown in the movie. It's complete truth, nothing else. And I should say that it is only 10% of what happened in Kashmir during those 3 years, which started in 1988, 89 and lingered on till 1990 when the outburst was so irrational when we had to leave in the middle of the night exactly in the way which you saw in the movie. So we traveled in a truck like cattle. The cattle, the fodder which is fed to the cattle was also being carried in the load carrier, and we were also sitting in the same truck. We were almost 3 to 4 families uh, from the same region, and exactly during the same night we had to wait at somebody's residence. It was the residence of a business person who was there, who used to run a business of carrying these kind of fodder and cattle in the truck. So we had to wait in their residence, and exactly what has been shown there, that we had to wait for the cross firing to get over that night, and in the wee hours of the morning, somewhere between 3 to 4 a.m., we had to leave in the truck.
So, which part of Jammu Kashmir you belong to?
I belong to Anantnag, which is a part of South Kashmir. So it is almost 2 hours from Srinagar. If you go in a car, I think it should
Yeah.
be less 1.5 hours nowadays. But those days, everybody didn't used to have cars. So mostly as a child, I remember we used to travel in bus, and it used to take almost 2 to 3 hours because usually buses, they are very slow to travel. So it is south of Kashmir, Anantnag. We used to live there. That is my native place, and I remember my address also. It was on the Pahalgam Road, just opposite the Women's College, which was there. So that was my address in Kashmir.
Have you been there after that when situation normal?
Well, if you ask me, have I been to Kashmir? Yes, I went to Kashmir after the Exodus in 2005. That was for my counseling for MD. That was the first time I visited Kashmir after the Exodus, but that time I didn't go to my native place or to see my house there. But I always had this thing in my mind. It used to linger on in my mind. I had certain closures which needed to be arrived at. So I went there in 2021 recently. That was in August 2021 to see my house, and this was alone because I wanted to travel to my native place alone. The reason I will reveal in our conversation as it goes along.
So after 2019, you went there.
Which is in 2021. It was twice. 2005, I went for my counseling for MD, and then 2021 August.
So just how just you find the Kashmir before 2019 and after 19,
Right.
and
So when
after
I
this
went into
abrogation of 370 and 35A. Yeah.
Right, definitely. So when I went in 2005, this was with my father. It was to go for a counseling because after you have cleared the entrance for the post graduation in medicine, you are admitted to various courses, depending upon the counseling sessions which happen. So my father was accompanying me for this trip, and this time we were in Srinagar only, and I did tell my father that there is an unnerving feeling over here which I'm not liking. I did find the air very strange over there. I found it a little bit unsafe to be on my own and live on my own there for my post graduation maybe. And my father was really very clear when I had cleared my entrance of the MD in
Okay.
J&K. So he didn't want me to, remain in Srinagar and study there. It was very clear in his mind that he's not going to leave me in Srinagar, exactly in the same hospital where a nurse who was our neighbor was brutally raped and killed.
Okay. So just some any memories about 89 and 91, 92, 90s to your mind?
Well, definitely, I was about 9 years old, and I have vivid memories of what we went through that night, though I was very small to understand everything. So I thought that somehow somebody has taken, control of this region, and it's for us to leave this region because otherwise we will be killed. And at once, there were some slogans which were raised from every masjid which was in our mohalla. So we used to live in a mohalla which was inhabited by both Hindus and Muslims who were our neighbors. But that night was really unusual. Every mosque, every loudspeaker was actually saying that you need to either leave, convert, or die. And there were a lot of killings which were happening, and these were brutal killings which were happening. And they were not something common. It was that they are being targeted just for their religion, or for their say for India. They used to say for India, and they were actually called that they are mukbirs, and they should be killed. Any mukbir who is in Srinagar should be killed, and anybody who doesn't understand our religion should be ousted out of here. So that is something very, very disturbing. Whenever I think about it, or the memories of bomb blasts, the fires happening, the cross firing, we going under the beds to save ourselves, and also that my father was posted somewhere else, which was again a militancy infested area. which was Baramulla at that point in time. So me, my brother, and my mother used to stay alone at home, and it was very, very disturbing for my mother as well to take care of two small children when so much was going around us.
Now you think of the abrogation of 370 and 35A, normalcy will come. So you think now Jammu Kashmir is normal, and all the after the new rules, the new laws, all are happy and should be happy. So how just you read the governance and work of government for the Kashmiri Hindus and Kashmiri Pandits who just left after the genocide? I'll not say the exodus. I always say genocide more than 20 years back.
Definitely. So, to answer your first part of the question, whether there is a difference between before 370 abrogation and after 370 abrogation, then I should definitely say yes. And the reason is very simple. When I went in August 2021, I went on my own, and it was a common taxi which I took to go from Srinagar to Anantnag, which is south of Kashmir, was actually a heavily infested area with terrorists. But this time I wasn't afraid, and I just
The
took
first,
that
I think that
taxi.
is the first district who just occupied by that terrorist, those type of
Right, it
terrorists.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very dreaded terrorists, which were more towards the south of Kashmir, the Baramulla, the Anantnag belt, which I used to hear every day in the news, which we used to hear on radio at that point in time, because not every home had TVs, and also the Doordarshan was affected due to many activities which were going around at that point in time. So BBC was very, very famous at that point in time in whole of Kashmir. So, to say it in simple words, that I found a difference, that I can travel in that city on my own, alone, that too being a female, and going on to the south of Kashmir, it was as simple as that. I found that it was safer to navigate the city. I could feel that you could go to any religious place and be on your own, and go to different places, and enjoy yourself, or the beauty of Kashmir, rather than thinking about some terrorist attacks, or somebody is going to kill you, or you need to be home because the environment is disturbed outside. And also the feel of the Dal Lake, the music going on there, the Tulip Festival, everything which I thought, and the rush of tourists and their faith in the system, definitely it had increased. So this was a visual difference between what I saw in 2005 and 2021. This is not to exaggerate or create any kind of propaganda, which often everybody pushes these kind of talks towards. But I did see that visual difference when I went in 2005, and then compared to it in 2021.
So I'll just continue our program and just have time of break. And after break, we'll ask how the government is working, how the more than as a claim, 3 lakhs 50,000 or 5 lakhs 50,000 numbers of who just displaced from the Kashmir, who just I think you say the exodus, and from the after the genocide they left Kashmir, how they'll come back, how they'll settle resettlement, and how the status of temples and others way. And just stay with us, just a break, and after break we'll come again and just to talk to you. Welcome to break. We are just talking to Dr. Viny Kantroo. He's an eminent doctor and a social activist. He is from Anantnag, the is core area of Jammu Kashmir, where just everybody knows and globally. So just Dr. Bini, just we're talking about the government is doing well, but recently you see in Sofia one Kashmiri Pandit were killed, and just some militant activities also just trying to be crop up. How do you just analyze situation? Who are they? Why they just don't want to peace in Kashmir?
Right. So, regarding the second part of your question, which is whether the government is doing enough for the genocide which has happened with Kashmiri Pandits, what is the way forward and what they are doing? As far as that is concerned, I think the most somebody has helped us is Bala Sahab Thackeray, because he was the one who advocated, some kind of reservation for us in the education system, which is why we could stand on our feet after so much of problems which were there. Actually, it was our education which saved us, and saved many of our ancestors and our younger generation as well, because otherwise we would have starved to death. So it is as simple as that. I don't think any of the governments, including the current government, has taken this kind of exodus or this kind of genocide seriously ever. Though there are some works which are being done in terms of development, holistic development in Kashmir, including the abrogation of 370, which is a welcome step, because otherwise, if you want that part of the country to be completely integrated to with India and create the same kind of laws in and around Kashmir, it's not possible to eradicate the disturbance which is present there. Regarding the other part of it, that the killings which have happened in the past and the killings which are happening in and around Kashmir currently, which are targeted killings, again targeting certain people who were actually the ones who stayed back to take care of those very people who were around them. I find it very disturbing, because they have served their whole of their life, and whole of their generation has been dedicated to the service of people who are around them. And I also think the terrorists, even they are from some other country, or they intrude from somewhere else, it is not without the local help that they can penetrate and go
Yes,
so
you are
deeper
right.
and create every kind of information available regarding targeted killing. So they have each and every kind of information, where a particular person is, how long they have been there, who can be targeted. So it cannot happen without the local intelligence and involvement of the local people, which is what I think, and it is true to a large extent. Though there may be pockets where moderate Muslims are against the thing which is happening in Kashmir since 1990, but the number is so meager, and they have never
Yeah,
spoken against the
agreed.
ones who are actually creating all the kind of ruckus. And if we see the recent kind of videos which are coming up from Jama Masjid in Kashmir, again, same kind of slogans are being raised. And then they are saying that these are some kind of miscreants which are there over there. The miscreants who are present there are from same community, and they are from the same area, they are from same families. Their families need to understand that they need to instill certain good values in their children. It cannot be that they are living, eating, being educated in a country, and they are singing songs of neighborhood. So it cannot be possible.
So just I think you are repeating the same story which have just happened before 90 and during 90, how the neighbors, they become the, I think, enemy in the so many forms. And just we are saying Hindi bhaichara, so bhai ke liye chara, like that. If you think like that, how they are just become like the I think anti-human, and not say the anti-Hindu and anti-India. First anti-human, then it become the anti-India and the anti-Kashmir and the peace of Kashmir. So now the latest one, how the things, the narratives, whatever they're trying to make now, whatever they already tried the narratives for the country and for the government, who are just doing the best for the Kashmiri, apart from the caste, creed, and religion. And now, this time, the Modi government also has been doing for the Kashmiri, for the Jammu Kashmir, citizens of Jammu Kashmir, for the any biasness. But why they are keeping the biasness for the government and for the public and for the people?
Well, this is not something strange to understand, because while we were studying there in school, also, I would recite certain kind of incident which used to happen in our school also. So I remember this vividly, because we had a lot of bullying which used to happen in the school. So as children, we have had to bear the brunt of supporting our country, and sometimes wearing our bindi, when my mother or the female folk of my a house used to pass from a street which was usually disturbing, or it had the concentration of some other community, they had to remove their bindi and move from that place because they were being bullied that you are a Hindu, you're wearing this bindi on your forehead. Why is it so? You don't need to wear this bindi in this region. We were not actually allowed to practice our religious freedom, which is very very killing. So I have seen this sentiment in the people around there, including children. So if children are replicating something which they have seen in their houses, it means that it is being discussed and instilled in their mind right from their childhood. So we have seen that anti-India sentiment in them right from the childhood, which has been shown in the movie as well. When you have seen that while playing a cricket match, uh, they used to have an inclination towards winning of Pakistan and raising anti-India slogans. I'm not saying that certain countrymen could not support any other country or neighborhood, but for that you don't need to sing songs of the other nation or raise any slogans which are anti-India, or you're being educated here, you're eating here, and so to say, what we call in Hindi, आप उसी थाली में छेद कर रहे हो जिसमें खा रहे हो. So
Yeah,
this we have seen from quite before, and I think this sentiment is very perennial over there, and I'm not sure whether this sentiment can be taken out from their minds with any amount of subsidy, with any amount of development, with any amount of employment. It's not about employment, it's not about jobs, it's not about development. They have this anti-India sentiment in them. So it is very hard to eradicate unless we have a generation who's raising questions
yeah,
regarding the loyalty towards your nation. So that has to be a revolution which has to be created amongst them and propagated amongst them, that you are Indian and you need to think Indian when you have been eating for eating, living, educating, doing everything in India for the past 60 or 70 years. I mean,
yeah.
you have to be
That's the
loyal
point.
to your country. So it's very difficult for everybody to understand that there was an interview by Ms. Barkha that which said that there is a discrimination which has happened to them. That is why they're not content with whatever used to happen, because the Hindus were given preference. But I would like to cite the example of my father. So he
I
wanted
think
to be a
Barkha is not a journalist. Barkha is not a journalist. I don't consider a journalist. He is a totally anti-India, and who are just anti-India. I don't consider even the just a traitors we are. I like person can say.
So I'm just giving an example that my father, who scored about 100 marks more than the other person, and at that point in time, the marks which you gained in 12th standard were considered for your entry into MBBS or into the engineering field. So my father was having 100 marks more than the one who was selected for medical seat for MBBS. So that is how I became a doctor. My father, he couldn't become a doctor. So I told my father that I would always keep my maiden name, which is Kantroo, so that people know me by my father's name, that I'm Mr. B.L. Kantroo's daughter. So this was the reason. And this was the level of discrimination which was happening against us. We never raised our voice. We always believed in hard work, in education, and holistic development. We have never been destructive. Even after this much of a genocide, a cultural genocide, uh, a physical genocide, mental genocide, we have suffered everything. But
Yeah.
beyond that, we are helpful to the whole nation, including the people in Kashmir. So many of my patients are from Kashmir region. So till date, or in my future also, I never discriminate between patients on the basis of their religion. But I don't understand the mentality of people that they're living in India, they're eating here in India, they're doing everything possible, and they're getting so many subsidies out of India, but still they think about the neighboring countries.
So this is talking about the Bala Sahib Thackeray. The son of Bala Sahib Thackeray is CM of Maharashtra. They have totally changed themselves for the sake of the power, for the sake of the chair. So how just you just remember Bala Sahib Thackeray? I also salute him. He was real Hindu Hriday Samrat, whatever they are calling them. So do you think country needs the leader like Bala Sahib Thackeray?
Definitely, we all miss him. He was a great leader, a great thinker, and a futuristic person. He had a lot of vision in him. We need people like him who will think about the nation and the holistic development of the nation. I think everywhere we will find people who will not emulate or who would not be exactly like their ancestors, and that is the hard part of life. But still, we need to keep this sentiment in every one of us, and we need to keep the nation first. The policy has to be the nation first. It's not about Hindu being the first, not about Muslim being the first, not about Isai or anybody else being the first. For me, it is the nation first, and
That's
that is what
important.
I would like
That's
to
important.
propagate.
Yes, that's important. That I agree. But one suggestion come from one of the Himanshu Gunju from USA. He is living in USA, and I was talking to him. So I giving him credit also. So he just shared his thought in our interview. One memorial, this national memorial should be established in the Srinagar, just like the 9/11 in USA and other way. So people should learn the history, know about the martyrs who were just were killed in by the genocide by the Muslim traitors. What do
Definitely,
you
there
think?
should be, yes, definitely there should be a memorial so that the future generations they know what has actually happened there. There should be a museum which should tell that why these targeted killings were happening and how many people have been killed. Though many people are cross-firing or debating on this fact that there have been Muslim killings as well, which happened at that point in time. But I would like to say that there is always collateral damage which happens out of so much of terrorist activities. Uh, and if we see, there were a lot of local people who were involved in all of these killings, and in the exodus and in the genocide which happened there. As I told you, it cannot be without the local help that anybody else can penetrate and wipe off a whole community in 2 or 3 days.
So nice of you, Dr. Viny Kantroo. Just you came in the program and expressed your view fearlessly and what is facts is there, what is going to be the now, and how just you expect, we expect also for the more work for the Jammu Kashmir to strengthen the person who just placed from Kashmir, like our Kashmir Hindu brothers sisters, and they should come back to the Kashmir own home, just return to own home who were just gone out of home. Thank you very much. So nice of you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.